winning is a habit. It really is. And you can learn it and you can apply it and you can do it. One of the things that's helped me all along in physical and mental challenges like building a business is falling in love with the process and divorcing the company. So most people in their business, they're so attached to the money. I tend to set goals that are outside my comfort zone, that are going to take my time, effort, and focus and really challenge me, but also it doesn't consume my entire existence. Because I like to experience life in various areas. There's an element of like, you've got to lose control on the journey of life and be okay with it. And it's almost like to God, like, I hope this works out.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now, let's get it started. Hey, guys, we are in the studio again with another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Beacons. I'm going to be your host as usual, and we have Lloyd Ross in the house. How are you, sir?
What's up, Rick? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. And
Awesome,
let's go.
awesome. Well, without further ado, let's get into it, man. You're in Australia, right? Middle of winter,
Yes,
right?
sir. I'm in Australia. Middle of winter. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I've got my sweater on here and I'm freezing.
It's like, here in Atlanta, it's like 80 degrees, 80% humidity. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like nothing dries here. It's like all my gym clothes from like yesterday.
Yeah.
I had to like go ahead and like do laundry because my stuff just wouldn't dry.
Yes, it's so interesting that when that happens, huh? Like it's so humid that it doesn't dry. It's interesting. We have a laundromat business, and in winter it just does so well because people can't dry anything in winter here. But I've never heard anyone not be able to dry things in summer. That's very humid.
All good. Well, sir, do us a favor. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, so I've relentlessly been trying to win for a long time. So that's why the show is a great one to be on. Look, my background, I'm actually a lawyer by qualified as a lawyer, but got out of there and went over to the Middle East and did some work and hated 9-to-5 life and got out of that and went into business with my dad for 7 or 8 years and got into online business in that process and scaled, a network marketing business on the side to multiple seven figures and now scaled an education business to multiple 7 figures and run 4 businesses here from home, from the cupboard. One's a network marketing business, one's an education business, which is our books, courses, and mentoring and coaching. And another one's a events business that are on with a business partner. And another one's a laundromat. We're acquiring laundromat businesses. And also I just invest, some of the proceeds and profits from all those businesses into a portfolio. So that's what keeps me, interested in it and excited in my career. Meanwhile, I've got a beautiful wife and great little sausage dog named Elvis. And we travel and we do things and we're working on having some kids. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Wow. And you've written a few books in your spare time?
Yeah. Yeah, I've written 3 books. We just had one release and go bestseller, certainly here in Australia, #1, and it was really exciting. And it's in bookstores, actually, in chapters in North America. So that's been good. We've got a great podcast. I love my podcast. It's been going good. We've got 300 episodes down. But, in the background too, I've won an international bodybuilding championship. I've run a 100-kilometer ultra marathon and finished. I've won a couple boxing fights. We've done 10 F45 sessions in a single day. It was on TV. And yeah, so I like winning in different areas. I don't always win, but I like your show is the pursuit of winning. And I really I like to set goals and do my best to achieve them. And I get exhilaration from them.
Definitely. See, here's where you lost though. See, like 5 minutes ago, you were just like, well, that's it. I mean, that's all that's me. And then you like just drop like this huge, like, oh yeah, by the way, I just did like all of these, like who in their spare time, wins an international bodybuilding competition?
I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know, look back at some of the stuff that in the last 10 or 11 years of my life that we've done. And it's so interesting because like, it's usually someone that writes a book as an author isn't a bodybuilding dude or a boxer or, it's just a weird combination of things. But and by the way, I think one of my crowning moments is this year I set a very audacious goal to bake the stickiest banana bread possible. So
That I didn't see that coming anyway.
I told you I'm a relentless pursuit of winning, and I set a goal to bake this beautiful banana. Do you have banana bread in
I don't know.
America?
Tell me about
Banana
it.
bread in Australia. There's this beautiful thing called banana bread, and I guess you could call it banana cake. But yeah, it's like a loaf of bread, but it's got banana in it, and it's like a classic dish here in Australia for when you go
Mhm.
to a cafe or whatever it is. And so I set a funny goal with my family at Christmas time. I said, "Family, I've got this one big goal," and they're all waiting with bated breath as to what I was going to set
Uh-huh.
this year as a goal to pursue the craft of winning. And then waited, and I said, "I'm going to bake the stickiest banana bread and best tasting banana bread you've ever had." And they just, and so I did that, and I achieved it in about
God.
2 months. And so I'm a baker. It's fun, and I guess it just I like to do those things in life. You set a fun goal,
Uh,
whatever it might be, and then you go win.
so I mean, how do you do it? I mean, is it like you just like look at something? It's like, hey, I think I can not only do this, but I can excel in it. Is that what you do?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say I excelled at ultra running, but I mean, we're definitely above average because we only trained for 8 weeks to run 100 Ks. And so I've, I've read books, like by David Goggins, like Can't Hurt Me. And I've read countless books on business, success. And I guess I like to see what I'm capable
Mm,
of achieving. But, I don't set crazy, like I'm not setting a goal to run around Australia. Like there's other people that set these crazy goals. I tend to set goals that are outside my comfort zone that are going to take my time, effort, and focus and really
yeah,
challenge me. But I set them in such a way that there's a chance of getting them, but also it doesn't consume my entire
yeah,
existence. So I like to, because I like to experience life in various areas. And so I like to set goals like that. It's like, I saw JD Vance start baking with his kid. And I was like, gee, the vice president can bake with his kid. Maybe I could bake something too. I just come up with these ideas of like, oh, maybe I should try that. And my mum says that I get hold of something and I just focus on it
yeah,
until I get it.
yeah.
That's what it's about. You know, you need something to
Yeah, yeah.
focus on.
That's funny you
You get
said
bored.
that because like I'm like that. I see people. I'm just like, I could do that. Let me go
Yeah.
ahead and just start focusing on it. It's really great.
Yeah.
It's I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So what I guess gets you like what are things that you do to stay focused? I mean, you look at a race, 100K race. It's just like you did the work for 8 weeks. How do you make sure that or how do you stay focused with that?
I think that what was good about that particular goal was that it wasn't 8 years away. And I think what people can do accidentally is they can set very long-term goals where they
Yeah,
don't have to. And I learned that from David Goggins. He said, he just rock up to races and run them. I was like, that's a much better way of doing it. But I couldn't train I couldn't not train and show up to 100 kilometers. I would not
for
have
sure.
finished. But I really think that people don't need as much time as what they think to get this big goal. I need to train 10 weeks for my first boxing fight.
Did
And,
you already know how to
I
fight?
trained 16 weeks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew only a
Yeah,
little bit. Yeah. To an extent. I mean, I could do okay, but not to the
yeah,
extent that I got to. And so I didn't set like I'm going to train for like
yeah,
10 years for this. It's not that. And even with my bodybuilding, it was like I was in okay shape, but it's 16 weeks of really train hard for it. And so I think that helps to stay focused because it's not
yeah,
so far away. And then you've really got to break it down and you think to yourself, okay, well, if I've got 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 16 weeks, what am I going to do each week? And what does your week look like? And it's just so much easier to plan just a week than it is to plan 8 or 10 weeks. So to stay focused, you got to break it down into just a few things for the week that you got to do. So for the ultra running, we realized we had to run 70 kilometers, which is probably about 30 miles a week. And so I thought, well, if we're going to run 30 miles a week, how are we going to do that on a daily basis? What does it look like? So the first day is 10 Ks, the second day is 21 Ks, third day is, 35 Ks up in hills, and then you
mhm,
drop back down. So you kind of, you just set up your days and you theme your days. So what we were doing was we're getting up very early at about 4 o'clock. We would run, 10 or 21 Ks flat ground, go home, go on with our day, go to bed pretty early because we were pretty tired. And on Sunday mornings, we'd get up at 3:30 and we would go out to the hills and we would do a 4.5 to 5 hour run on 35 Ks and come home. and be pretty sore and go to sleep and relax. So it does take you out of the game of life. Like it should feel very uncomfortable. It should be something you're not used to. And it requires you to get up early and get after it when
Yeah.
you don't want to. Like it was brutal to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go run hills, but we knew it wasn't going to be forever, So having goals like that, it allows you to step up to another place of focus, another place of like to endure the pain because it's not forever.
Yeah.
And that helps. Yeah, it helps a
Is
lot.
it, how important was it to, you keep saying we, so how important was it for you to train with someone else?
Well, a buddy of mine and my boxing coach, and also he's been a dear friend and a mentor, really, and a great friend. He was the one that put me up to run the ultra. So I told him, well, he's going to do it with me if I'm going to do it. And so he came in. So that was helpful accountability. But what's really interesting is my wife she said, well, if you're doing it,
What?
I'm doing it.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is it's crazy good. Imagine being married to a woman like that. That's like, well, if you're doing it, I'm going to let you do it by yourself. I want to do that. She wanted to see what she's capable of, and she's great at testing
Uh,
herself too. So she's tenacious. And then her sister said the same thing. So we had my buddy, my wife, and her
Amazing.
sister, and we're all training for this thing. And so it was a great group of accountability. Like we were holding each other accountable. So I would say you were right on the money by saying who was holding you accountable. So doing things in small groups is accountability
Yeah.
group,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Did
helps
you
you.
have coaches, like a coach for like all of your physical endeavors?
Well, I did have a coach for my bodybuilding. I'm still friends with him. He was at our wedding. He's the loveliest guy. In fact, he might be a good guest for you to come on the show too. But you had a coach for him. He was great. Then I had a coach for boxing, without a doubt. Needed that. But when the running came, I didn't really have a specific coach for the running. I should have, but what I did was a friend of mine had run, and so he took us out to the course a little bit. We did have some mentorship, and another guy in the shop when we went and buy all the gear. When you run an ultra marathon, you got to buy so much gear. We spent thousands of
Wow.
dollars on gear because you don't have if you don't have poles, the right shoes, the right socks, the right kit, you just can't run it. So we had to so he actually guided us in the shop, and it turns out he's an
Uh-huh.
incredible runner. So he actually did steer us. We had these kind of like Mr. Miyagi type mentors that
Uh-huh.
popped up out of the shadows right when we needed
Perfect.
them. So because of that, we were focused on it. The universe conspired to throw out these guides to us
Uh-huh.
to help us, but we didn't have a specific coach. But that would have been clever to do that. We didn't do it. Yeah, I didn't. I think in our hearts we didn't really think we could get away with it until the day of the race, and then we just perseverance just won at the end of the
Awesome.
day.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I was talking to a guy about doing a triathlon. I don't know how it happened. It was like three people in a row, just started talking about triathlons around me. I'm just like, and then this one guy, his name is Kit, 73. And this guy, he does 300 push-ups. He's a guy that does like 300 push-ups a day. He goes to Colorado once a
Oh my
month,
God,
every year, hikes. I mean, this guy is just like
no one needs friends like him, man. Like that sounds terrible.
73,
73.
crushing it,
Oh,
crushing it.
oh,
And
that hurts.
it's
That
funny
hurts.
because
Yeah.
like our friend was talking to him. He's just like, yeah, we were talking to this guy. You're a young guy. He's like, yeah, we were talking to this guy that's like over 70, and kid goes, I'm 73. I'm just like, oh, awkward.
73. I mean,
Yeah,
good on him.
absolutely.
People say to me now too, they've seen us do lots of different things. My wife and I, physical stuff, mental, I've done all sorts of different things. They say, what's your next challenge? I said, no, 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 no. I am living for longevity now. So I'm not doing anything crazy. My knees, I'm just going to protect my body. That's my current
Uh,
lifestyle right now. So, I'm doing other things like we're launching books and I'm doing mental stuff as well as physical stuff, I think. And so it's a nice
yeah,
balance.
that's cool, man.
It's
I
making
want
sure.
to talk about your business. So
Yeah.
you've built multiple, 7-figure businesses. How did your mindset or your thinking, how did that apply, or how did that help you, I guess, in getting to those numbers?
Well, I think it's a matter of being curious as to what you're
Mm,
capable of achieving. And there's an element of losing control. Like there's an element of like, you've got to lose control on the journey of life and be okay with it. And so it's stepping out of way outside your comfort zone. So like how I applied that to bodybuilding or running, it was like, whoa, I'm just relinquishing control here. It's almost like to God, like, I hope this works out. In boxing, it's called
Uh,
crossing the ropes, where you build up all this fear. And the moment you cross the ropes is like, that's the courage
uh,
part.
uh,
You cross the ropes into the ring. And once you do that, you're in and it's too late. You can't back out. You're in, life begins on the wire and everything else is waiting around. So I think it's a matter of, I've always been okay with taking the faith step into the unknown. So with the businesses, I never knew if they were going to work out, but I knew that it looked like a fun adventure. I knew how others had succeeded at the business model itself. So I knew the business model was capable, but was I capable of doing it? And one of the things that's helped me all along in physical and mental challenges like building a business is falling in love with the process and divorcing the outcome.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So most people in their business, they're so attached to the money, like, oh, I can't wait till I'm got money and I'm free and I'm traveling. And that's all
Uh,
great to have the vision, but you must fall in love with the daily do.
yeah.
And, like the old saying, the person who enjoys walking will always walk further than the person who
Yeah.
doesn't. And so in business, the person that enjoys business, the actual process of business will always do better than the person who just enjoys the money at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to kind of fall in love with business, like you have to fall in love with people, like talking to people and helping people and figuring stuff out. And business is really just a collaboration of other great people. That's what business really is. And so if you enjoy people and you can delegate things and you can relinquish control a bit, and you're not too like worried about what
Mm,
if it doesn't work out. It's an adventure. If you treat it like an adventure, it's just much more fun than it is if you treat it like a career or like a money thing. I just think it has to be an adventurous
yeah.
experience. It
Yeah, it's
helps.
interesting. I've really been doing that with the podcast. I mean, first it was like, it was just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and then it became interesting, and then it starts getting its own legs. I'm just like, wow. It's just like, okay, well, let's try this, let's try that, and I just enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? It's like every Thursday, it's like, let's get up and do it. We're talking about like doing like spin-off concepts at this point, and again, I mean, it's just relinquishing control and just saying, hey, let's see where it goes. Let's take that walk of faith, you know?
Yeah, you didn't know if it was going to work out. You didn't know if you're going to be good at it. You didn't know if it's going to be what
Yeah.
it's going to look like. But I'm sure at some point you saw someone doing it, and maybe to yourself, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you went, "Man, well, they can do it. Yeah, I can do it." I don't know if that happened to
Yeah.
you, but
It did. It did.
it's
It
generally a
did.
good thing, right? Yeah,
And my son had
yeah.
he had a podcast, and he was crushing it. He had live guests and stuff like that. And he's a video guy. So he's like got like,
Yeah.
the $1,000 cameras and all the gear and stuff like that. And so
Oh yeah,
he really set
yeah.
the standard for me. He was the one that got me to actually publish the first episode, because the first episode came out, and I think it was like a month before I actually had the courage to publish it. He's just like, "Dad, just do it." Just like, okay.
So you have to. So you create your accountability partners. Yeah, you create leaders around you. You build your own team, from the ground up.
You know what? You know what? There's
That's
some
cool.
truth to that, because I always want to make my kids proud. I always want my kids to be like, "That's my dad," and so that's definitely a motivator.
Yeah, well, you've done it because it's interesting when you. I mean, I haven't got kids yet, working on that now, but isn't it amazing how I can only imagine how accountable they'd make you be? Like, because who wants to grow up as a dad who's not the hero? Like, so you must be you must do lots of things. Be like, I want to be the dad who's the hero. So what can I? And so it must compel you
Oh,
to
it
just
does.
level up. I
Oh,
mean,
it does.
obviously,
Oh, it does.
yeah,
He tells me, he's like, my son that had podcast. He's like, "Dad, I was watching your show and this and that." I mean, there's so much pride. I got to be honest with you. I mean, there's just so much pride, when my son comes back and like says stuff like that. And it's like, not like he's like, he doesn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? But he's just like, yeah, I get
yeah,
I get the notification. I go and I check it out. It's like, man, this was cool. I mean, it feels great. It's absolutely phenomenal.
it's cool, man. That's great.
Yeah,
Excellent.
man. Yeah. What was something unexpected that happened, like, with one of your business adventures?
COVID.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, yeah, that was unexpected. Yeah, God, I never thought they'd shut the world down. Yeah, we had a lot of events going on at the time, so that really threw a spanner in the works
Uh-huh.
for our events. And it really did take the wind out of one of our businesses for quite some time, but also created opportunity to be more online and so forth. And so I think a lot of people, discovered
Yeah.
Zoom all of a sudden, which was great for us. And so that was unexpected. But you pivot with it. Thankfully, we'd positioned our life and our businesses to actually
Mm-hmm.
be ready for that. So always be innovating is helpful to be ready for the next big thing that happens. Like I would say another big thing that happened is AI. Like Chat GPT came out, and I mean that all that's done is really accelerate our productivity in our businesses, which is fantastic. But I can't think of like to date, and I say that because there's so many unknowns in business that to date for our 4 businesses we're currently running, touch wood, nothing too drastic. I mean, we did encounter some real challenges with our ad account at one of our businesses where it was shut down a couple times. That sucked. But no catastrophic failures yet, which has been great. But when it happens, that's when you kind of have to dig deep and actually skill up, and it forces you to level up. And so if you look at your business, when you hit the dips, even though it sucks and it hurts, and it's like, oh, God, that's when the best skills are built. It's like when you're in the boxing ring and you're up against the ropes and you get hit. That's sometimes when your best comes out because you just you get compelled to fight back. And so when you're in business and you're getting it through a challenge, you fight back, and that's what forges a better fighter. It's the old saying like iron is the strongest iron is forged in the hottest fire. And so
Oh, I like
the
that.
the background of the business experiences I've had that are very tough have created better skills in me and resilience. In our property business, when I was rebuilding with my dad, we went through an experience where we couldn't pay rent and they closed the office and locked it. The landlord locked it, and we had to do a staff meeting in the cafe. And I thought to myself, how are we ever going to resurrect this business? How are we going to survive here? Like, we can't pay rent. Like, how is it? And so we started selling items that we had, like
Mm.
Hoik and everything, and enough to then pay the security bond for the next office. And I was walking around for 2 weeks looking for one. I found one, got the staff in there, put the phones on. We did a couple of deals, and we were off and running. And so, like, that was a brutal misadventure. Like, I thought we were done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
we were
Those.
done. So I think that's probably been the
Yeah,
hardest.
those situations are tough, but it's like you get thick, you get thicker skin. It's just like, oh, I've been through this before.
Well, there's light at the end of the like Winston Churchill used to say, if you're going through hell, the best thing you can
Keep
do is
going.
just keep
Yep.
going. You don't want to stop there. That's not a good place to stop, so you can keep moving. You just got to keep moving, keep moving. Like, this day shall pass, like all days pass, thankfully. And, some days you want to last forever. Some days you want to pass very quickly. And I was on a podcast before yours, just like an hour ago. And I said on there, you never want to quit on a bad day. And if you have that saying like, I'm not going to quit on a bad day, because you're not going to quit on a good day, that's for sure. So if you have this saying like, I'm not going to quit on a bad day, you're only one good sleep away from a different life, because the next day, something or someone can come in and just absolutely turn the tables for you.
Absolutely.
Like one connection, one interaction, game changer. And you've got to wake up and praise Jesus that it's going to happen. And like, okay, let's see what you got in store for me today. And I think that's the approach that people must take. But to have fun, you've got to be having fun, because I often say to my students, look, it's not going to end well for any of us. You understand, like I said, you understand this concept of it's not going to finish. It does not a pretty finish. It ain't going to be good. So in that time frame, why don't we just have as much fun on this adventure as we can? Because why worry? Because at the end, it's going to suck anyway. Like, we've got plenty of time to worry when we're dead. We don't need to
Exactly.
worry then. Let's try and have as much fun as we can, So I think that's a good attitude
I love
as
that. I
well.
love that. When you said it's not going to end well, what goes through my mind is like you live in Australia with like all kinds of like scary creatures and stuff like that.
It can end very badly here if you're in the wrong place. Yeah. 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 Thankfully, I live in the city, but I'm away from all the terrible things. But it's really funny where I live. I live in the middle of Australia on the eastern side. So I live on the most eastern part of Australia. It would be very akin to like living in Florida, like Florida Key, right? So I'm like here on the eastern coast, big ocean. What's interesting is if you go down south an hour drive from where I live, and swim in the ocean, there's a the likelihood of you being attacked by a shark goes up a lot, a lot. And if you drive, if you drive, I would say like maybe 6 or 7 hours north, you increase drastically the likelihood of you being stung by a box jellyfish and
God.
dying in the ocean. And if you go to the rivers, if you go up and go to the river system on the eastern side in
Uh-huh.
the inland, there's a likelihood you get eaten by a crocodile. And wherever you are, east, south, north, as long as it's not in the ocean, can get bit by a snake. So I live in this bed, we call it the
The
Goldilocks
Goldilocks
zone,
zone. Okay.
where it's like, it's just right. But you go either way, it's worse. It's worse. That's not good.
It's like you're really encouraging my idea never to go to Australia. I got to tell you.
You'll be fine. Just hang out in the cities. You're gonna be fine. Like, but don't like I can see from where I live. I can see we
Uh-huh.
live on a river, and so the river comes in from the east and stuff from the Pacific Ocean. There's a river. It comes in, and we live on that river. It's a main river, and there's an untold law, an unspoken law, because I grew up here, that you do not swim in that river from sunset to sunrise. You do not, like, because it's teeming with bull sharks. Teeming with them. You can hear them splashing around at nighttime from our balcony. So, and you never see people swimming in there, because the reality is that's what's in that river. And so that's a
Mhm.
real thing. So long as you don't swim in the river, you'll be okay here. Don't swim in the ocean. Don't swim in the river. Stay in your hotel. You'll be
The
fine.
crowd. Tell me something. So you've been at this. You've been at this for a while. You've done incredible work. How do you avoid burnout, or how do you advise people about that?
Yeah, look, there's without a doubt, there's moments in a business build where, especially when you fall in love with what you do, it's so
Mhm.
difficult not to work, as you know. And because I'm a high D personality type, so if I do the DISC profile, I'm a real dominant personality. So I act with urgency. I, you know, I work hard and fast and quick, and when you're in that type of personality trait, I think they call it like an A type or whatever, but I find it hard not to like instantly lurch forward and work. I find it hard. So if you're that type of personality, and most entrepreneurs are, it can be very easy to fall in the trap of working too much. And I know I've burnt myself out, because I start to get like anxiously dizzy. Like I can burn myself out. I really can. But I know when I push the envelope and I just back off a little bit. So like, for example, we might go away for the weekend, or I might just turn my phone off and just and just chill
Yeah.
out for the week. Like, I know when I've
Yeah.
pushed it too far. But that was the old me before I wrote my book, Become Time Rich. And when I wrote this book, which is our latest one that's just gone bestseller, I wrote that. I saw Hormozy launch his book, and I wanted to go on that adventure like what he did. And so that was the epitome before the book. But when you write a book, sometimes you write it for yourself too. Like because people think just because you got a book, you've worked it all out. And I haven't worked it all out. But what I have worked out is enough to impart wisdom. But at the same time, when I wrote this book, it actually forced me to be better at my own time. So as I'm writing it, because you want to be able to, walk your own talk, sure. So I'm like, right. So doing that, what it allowed me to do is I've learned to find rhythm in my life. Because I mentioned in the book, I read this book, my business pastor at church. He said, Lloyd, we're at this sermon in church, and this pastor comes out and he does this incredible, talk and sermon on not being in a hurry. And I was like, that's interesting. It's an interesting approach. And he said, Jesus was
Mhm.
never in a hurry. My mind goes back to all the gospels, and I'm like, yeah, can't say I ever
Right.
remember him running or like what. His best friend's dying, Lazarus, and he didn't even go there. He went on like a flipping 5-day detour for. So I was like, oh, that's pretty true. And then I came out of the mass, and my pastor said, Lloyd, if you like that, you got to read this book. I said, what's the book? He said, it's called The Ruthless
Familiar
Elimination
with
of
that.
Hurry
Yeah.
by John Mark Comer. Oh, and I picked up that book, and I was just like, it's almost like my soul was thirsty for this book. And I just it was the only book that I probably reread back the notes on so many times and quoted, because my soul was thirsty for it. And so like what I'd done was I was in so much of a rush. I mean, all the things that I've done, right, that we're speaking about, done that in a short, it's like I'm always in a rush, in a hurry. Like, what's the next
Yeah.
thing? What's the next thing? And what had happened to my life was my body was here, and I hadn't given my soul time to catch up to it. That's my soul. My soul's way back there. and so, like, it was a burnout, but it wasn't just a physical burnout, it was probably a soul
Yeah.
burnout too. So when I read the book, and I mention it here, I learned to slow down, and not like slow down in my career and what I want to achieve, but like I was brushing my teeth fast. I was peeing fast. Those. So I was like, let me just calm down, and let me just. And so I started to do those things a bit slower, and just by doing that, I started to make less rash decisions, and I started to be more methodical, and I started to dictate my own diary and wishes. And I realized I didn't have to be hard, and I didn't have to toil all the time to get what I wanted. It was a
Mhm.
paradigm shift. So I thought, how can I protect my soul, my body, and how can I position my life and what I do day to day, week to week, so that I can do this till I'm
Yeah.
95? How can I? So I started to find. So my new methodology is finding rhythm. That's how I prevent burnout now. So I rhythmically theme my days. I batch, like this morning, I've got 3 podcasts back to back, and I batch things together so I'm in flow, and I open up my diary for procrastination time, date nights. I'll go and walk my dog today for an hour. Like I'm very diligent and intentional with my
Mm.
diary now for rhythm, not David Goggins style living, where I'm just like, I'm not attacking life like that anymore. Yeah.
I can certainly relate to that. I certainly the hurrying, the brushing your teeth like really quick. It's like, okay, I got 3 things to do. Let me brush my teeth and do something else at the same time. How did you? How long did it take you to get into a rhythm? Do you use like time blocking? What's your strategy? What's your process there?
I really try to build in kind of like white noise time in my life. So, like, for example, if I have the podcast, I try and build in enough time to muck around before I start. So I build in enough time to have a long shower and brush my teeth slow, and I build in time to walk my dog. And there is time. It's just we're not making it because we think that being in a hurry means we're wealthier. It's just, if we're busy, oh, yeah, you're just achieving more. But nothing could be further from the truth. And one of the things you can do to create more time in your life is you can look at all your tasks. And the very first thing you can do at the start of the day or the previous night is to just, what can you actually just not do? Like, what can you actually delete completely off your list? And you'll be surprised that you've put things on there that just do not need to be on there. And just that one exercise can alleviate so much hurry in your
Mm.
life straight away. The other things on your list, the one you want to do is you want to try and delegate and systemize things that are on your list so you don't have to do them again. And that will free up time, and delegate to others to, like, for example, to launch our book, I had to upgrade to Zoom 1,000 and pay all this money on Zoom to get
Mhm.
enough people. And I can't for the life of me figure out how to cancel the subscription and go back. So that's something my wife can do, or my assistant. So I'm like, hey, can you do that? But it's so easy to get caught up in
Yeah.
doing things
Yeah.
yourself. So you got to look at your task list and go, you know what? What can I just completely offload? So what can I eliminate? What can I delegate? And what can I automate? And those are the 3 questions to ask on your task list. And if you're doing that every day, you will prevent doing work that you didn't need to do. And the wealthiest people don't work the most. They
Yeah.
work the least. They That's what I had to learn. And I'm reading a book at the moment called Titan, which is the story of John D. Rockefeller. And he famously said, the busy man has no time to make money. And I was like, what a line. Like, what? How philosophical is that? Like, it's so true, because if that were the case, I would say shift working nurses and police officers would be the wealthiest, but they ain't. They're working hard and they're busy, but yeah, they're probably not the wealthiest at all. So when did I look at my diary and I think, Lloyd, are you busy or are you productive and building wealth? What is it? Because you
Yeah.
can't be both, as I say to myself. There's elements of where I do get busy, but it's an awareness of that and how do
Yeah.
I get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. 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 That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Do you find that your work do you find your work days to be longer, or are you do you look at things in terms of like an 8-hour work day, or is it just kind of like just weaved into everything that you're
Question.
doing, or how does that work?
Our mindset and belief system and paradigm is stuck on 8-hour workday, 5 days a week, because it's how we went to school. It's how we went to our first job. And this paradigm is locked heavily in our mind. And so when you're an entrepreneur and you have freedom of your own diary and your own business, there's a propensity to work long days. And there's a propensity to measure your activity and your productivity based on the hours worked, because it's an old paradigm that's hard to shake off. So I don't look at it like that anymore. What I look at is I'm performance based, not time based. So, like, for example, yesterday I said to my wife, okay, I've got 4 or 5 big, like, key things I want to do today. And when I do them, we're going to go and hang out and do nothing. So those things didn't take me 8 hours. They took me focus and effort, but they were important. It's not hourly based. It's task based. So that's how I work now. Like, for example, if I pick up my diary today, I can tell you that today I have 3 podcasts in the morning. I have 1 meeting for one of our businesses at 3, and I have gym at 4. The rest of the time is fairly free. So you can see with the white there, it's
Yeah.
nothing really in there. And so the white section's where I pull up my to-do list and I look at it. It's called my Dominate list. And I pull that up. So I've got white sections in my diary for that. I look at it. Okay, I've got to upload these new contracts for the
Mhm.
sales team today, and just follow up on some testimonies for some clients, and I'm done. So, like, I've got 2 tasks, and I've got those 3 podcasts a morning. Yours is the second. I've got 1 more, and I'm done. And then I've got gym and then a meeting. So you can see that I'm not like, yeah, I'm not at things, but I know I've got important things to do. So that's how my life works. And some days I do more than others because there's more required of me. But it's not like I'm working for 8 hours. I'm I I'm almost always tinkering, always. So, like, even tomorrow on a Saturday, I'll still tinker. Like, I'll respond to some students, I'll talk to my teams in Slack, I'll read X, I might do some, yeah, I'm tinkering. But I'm not like slogging, like, it's 8 o'clock, you sit here and you work until 8 p.m. and play. Like, I've developed this real disdain for bro hustle
Mhm.
culture. I used to be like, as a young man, I'm like, yeah, like a big Dave Goggins fan, and I'm a big Hormozy fan. And in your 30s as a young man, you're like, yeah, let's, because you're going to war and battle and all that. And I kind of aligned to that for a while in my life because of regret. But now, as I've hit my fees, it irks me. I kind of look at it and think, I don't know. It's a different season,
Yeah.
you know. There's a season for everything. But that's how I look at it now. I'm not hustle culture anymore. I'm not good go for you, Gary V. You want to hustle, well, good for you. I'm not doing that.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Because Jesus, I've got Christian faith. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be a bit more like, if God, in the Old Testament, the story goes that God created the world in 7 days, but he didn't do it in 7 days, he did it in 6. And he had a day off. Like, I think God had a day off. God. So I'm like, if God can have a day, I'm going to have one too. And so, you can look, if you want to be a billionaire, man, the effort and focus and attention and required for that is substantial. There is tremendous
Mhm.
sacrifice. But I don't recall any time in my life where I ever endeavored to be a billionaire. I don't have a big enough ego to be a billionaire even. Like, I don't even think I'm good enough. But what I have always wanted to do is have time freedom and a nice life and a
Yeah.
good life. I don't think that working 12, 15, 16 hours a day for 20 is that. I just don't think it's that. For some, it might be, but for me,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
I don't.
Wow.
I'm a Jesus guy. I want to be more like him. I'm just chill. I just want to, like, cruise, help people. That's where I've come. So I think but you go through different seasons like that.
How heavily does your faith impact your decisions and your businesses?
Well, if it can't not be integrated into it. So, like, the culture of, I teach sometimes from the lessons from the Bible, and I use parables, and because it's the best way to teach as well. Like, there's so much richness in that. but I think the best way to explain it is things come to me because they are ordained. Like, you have spiritual gifts, I have spiritual gifts, and I would say I listen to my heart when more than I just think logically. So I will be heart-led and faith-led a lot, but I don't just also go, "All right, I've got a kingdom business, go build it, God." Then I just sit on my butt and just let it. It's not like that. It's not like, like, throw your business to God and he'll. I'm like, well, God, he's doing it through me. So like, I have to do things, but like we're charitable. We have good culture. We do attract actually a fair few Christians into our programs. But not that it's a Christian program, but I think there's elements of what I've included in our business, and how my wife and I live is like that, and but I'm not like, you know, I'm not I'm not like, we will say grace before we start every call. I don't bring in every ritual from the church into my businesses, but I bring in a ton of faith, I think. There's moments where I'm going to do something and you have to put faith. I've been like, hope this works out. Be with me. Let this, and I've got a really good mentor of mine, and he's really helped me so much. And he's very faith filled. He's like very evangelist, like he's more like an evangelist. And he's so faith-filled, and he's very much, he actually, his mentor is Myron Golden.
Yeah, I
You
do.
know Myron Golden? So his mentor, he's with him. He's been with him like twice in Florida. And Myron is like kingdom business 101. He teaches a lot through scripture, doesn't he? So my buddies line up with him. So my buddy does that with me. So he'll send me like verses from, say, Corinthians, and he'll say, and I'll take that on board, and I'll do keynotes where I bring in some proverbs. Like, I'll weave in lessons like that too. But he's more faith-filled in his business than what I am. I wish to be like that, so I'm aspiring to be more like that in my businesses. And sometimes I take the burden on myself too much, and you got to
Mm,
release that sometimes
mm,
too. So that's a very difficult question for me to answer. It's in parts it is, and in parts I wish it
mm,
was better.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. So if you were going to advise one of your students, you had an opportunity to give them one piece of advice, what would that be?
One piece of advice I'd give to my students: be more organized.
That's a good one.
And by that I mean, yeah, more, because, and here's why I say that. How many times have you heard people you work with, or maybe it's your kids, or I don't know, you students? Now I hear this a lot because I have so many students, but I feel overwhelmed. The word has been spoken so much, it's lost all meaning for me. I'm like, what do you mean specifically you're overwhelmed? And they're like, oh, I said, what you mean to say is you're disorganized. And they go, saying you're disorganized is extreme ownership. Saying I'm overwhelmed is extreme
Mm,
blame. Like, I'm overwhelmed by forces I can't. No, I'm disorganized because it's my fault and I'm disorganized. So I would say to the students, get organized, because structure actually creates freedom.
does.
Most people are trying to walk around, like, I'm surprised their heads don't drag across the concrete as they walk the footpath, because they're trying to keep everything in their head, their ideas, all their meetings, their doctor's appointments, their kids' recitals. Like, just your head is not for storing ideas. It's not a USB stick. It's for creating ideas. And so I would say, get organized, get all the junk out of your head onto paper so that you can create more, because that's where the real juice and the real wealth lives, is in creation.
Wow, that was awesome. It's not for storage, it's for creation. That one right there. I love that. I love that. But we're just about out of time. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
No, I think it's I just love the title of your show. It's like the relentless pursuit of winning. And I think it's one of the things I would encourage people to do is, when you go into an endeavor, don't go just to play, go in to win. And winning's great, because winning does great things for you. It does great things for others watching you. It inspires them. It forges new ways of doing things. It keeps people competitive who don't happen to win, but they learn. So don't, I would say, people have maybe over the past 30 years or so attached a losing, some sort of negative connotation to the word of winning. Like it's some sort of crime. Oh, winning. Like, but winning is it's so important to pursue. It's what makes you better. It's what makes other people, and it's good to win. And I would say, get in a habit of winning. So what I mean is, like, set yourself up to have wins, and celebrate the wins. We have a bell in our house, like an
Oh,
actual
wow.
bell we got from a
That's cool.
hardware store. And so when something great happens, like the other day when we went bestseller, like we launched, we put so much effort. It's a 2-year project, launched online, launched in the physical form, spent so much money on it. And I was like, oh, we hit number 3. I was like, oh, it hurts. It hurts. And it hurt. And then the next day, it's kind of delayed. Like 2 days later, I'm online. I'm like, oh my God. And I saw the bestseller thing pop up. I'm like, oh, we hit bestseller. And we went past the 4-hour work week, past Buy Back Your Time with Dan Martell. We hit number 1 for our new book. And my wife's like filming it, and I rang the bell. So it's like this elation. And it only lasted like the euphoria of winning lasts for like
Yeah.
an hour. But it's all worth that. I'm like a winning addict. I want that hour. It takes me 2 years to get 1 hour. It's like I'm like this junkie. It's like I just want that feeling, you know? And so I'd say winning is a great thing. Learn to win. There's a methodology.
Mhm.
Learn to win, and win often. Win your day. Win your morning, and celebrate your wins every day and every week, because it's this winning is a habit. It really is, and you can learn it, and you can apply it, and you can do it. And the more you do, the better.
I love it. I think that's the thing that that I forget to do is like celebrate the wins. You know, it's just like, okay, I won this. All right, what's next?
It's easy to do. Because we don't win for I don't win for necessarily external validation. It's nice, but you win for this feeling. Like I remember when I won my first boxing fight. I won did a boxing fight, won fighter of the series. And I remember it was hectic, like it was terribly painful, but everyone had left the locker room. Everyone had left the venue, and I'd forgotten something in where we were warming up earlier. So I went back down, no one in there. And I walked across, got my gym bag and my trophy, and I had this moment by myself. And there's this moment of like, I would say self-esteem is like, I was like, I felt so happy with myself, you know, like you did something hard and you did it. And that's the feeling that I try and get addicted to. And so that's what I celebrate. Not like all the external stuff, but like, what did I do that I'm happy? It's an inner scorecard. Yeah.
Lloyd, thank you so much. This has been fun. This has been cool. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's nice. It's the 3rd time I hung out with you, so now I feel like I'm getting to know you pretty good. If I can't talk your name out, I'll look you up and I'll catch up with you.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. We'll catch you next time.